Assalamu alaikum everybody. We're moving on to lecture number 4 today. We're continuing with the second chapter. Now it's about company and marketing strategy, partnering to build customer relationship, right? So we did the first part. We talked about strategic planning. And we talked about how it was important for marketing because it sets the scope for marketing. It tells you where to channelize your energy, right? So we did the first part. We did company-wide strategic planning, defining marketing's role. We're going to continue with the lecture and cover the rest of the topics that are written on the screen at the moment. Planning marketing, marketing strategy, managing the marketing effort, measuring and managing return on investment. So what did we do in the other class? What did we do in lecture 3? We started off with steps in strategic planning. We defined company's mission statement. We said mission statement is what? It is your purpose. It is what you want to accomplish in the larger environment, on the larger picture, right? So based on that, we talked about two types of mission statement. The first one being market-oriented and product-oriented. We said product-oriented might lead you to product myopia. What is product myopia? Being too focused on your product rather than being customer-focused. And what market-oriented mission statement helps you with? It helps you deal with it. It helps you stay focused on your customer. And we did the example of Google. So where we defined that it focuses on customer, it talks about organization of data and not just search engine, because search engine is a technology, it might go obsolete, whereas the need for organization of data, that would remain there, right? Now coming down to designing business portfolio. What is business portfolio? It is the collection of businesses. Now you talk about plan about business portfolio in 2 steps. First you analyze your current business portfolio followed by future, right? So how do you do the current business portfolio analysis? One way to do is BCG, which is Boston Group Consulting. It is a growth matrix. What do you do in it? There are 4 quadrants. There is star, there's question mark, there are cash cows, and there's dogs. Based on market growth and relative market share, you place the SBUs in different quadrants and see how do you deal with each SBU. So for instance, in star we talked about that it is a quadrant where there is high market growth and high market share. That means it needs continuous injection of money so that it can sustain the growth. It can deal with the competition that it is currently in, right? So that is star. We talked about cash cows. Cash cows have stabilized their growth rate. It cannot grow any further. That is their maturity level. It has acquired the market that it was potentially designed for. So it would not grow further. Therefore, it does not need a lot of investment from the company, right? It is pretty much able to sustain itself and also able to help other quadrants grow, right? So we talked about that. Then we discussed a few problems with Boston Consulting Group. Now what are the different problems? The first problem is it is difficult to define market share, it is difficult to define growth. There's not enough data available. Then it is time consuming, it is expensive, and it focuses on current business, not future, right? So if it does not focus on future, what would focus on future? The next element, that is marketing, expansion, grid. Now marketing expansion grid talks about 4 types of strategies. The first strategy was market penetration. Market penetration talks about going deeper into the market that you're currently in with the existing products. You don't change the product, you take the same product and to penetrate deeper into the market. How do you do that? You can change the marketing mix to penetrate deeper into the market. How do you change the marketing mix? For instance, you may increase your promotion share. You may decrease or decrease the price. So we talked about how Pakistani market is essentially generally a price elastic market. So if you reduce the price, by law of demand, the demand should increase. If the demand increases, that means you're penetrating deeper into the market. Your product is reaching more customers now, right? Then we talked about market development. What is market development? Take the same product, go into a new market. So you have one product that you were selling in Pakistan, you decide to take it to Canada, you decide to take it to Australia. That is, you're finding new markets for the same product. Then product development is creating a new product and then selling it into the market. So you were not creating a certain product, you created that product and sold in the market that you were working. So you have better understanding of that market, the dynamics of that market. So you create a product based on those ideas that you have gathered, right? And then diversification is completely new product, completely new market. Then we also talked about other concepts. Let's move on to today's lecture. That is planning, marketing, partnering to build customer relationships, right? So firstly we're going to see what's the role of marketing in strategic planning. Now how did marketing help strategic planning? Now strategic planning is something that is done on the which level? Corporate level, the higher level, right? The highest level that there is. Planning highest level की कहाँ होती है? Strategic planning is done at the corporate level. The top management does it. Now, how does marketing help the top management designing that strategic plan? Now, the first way in which it helps is it provides them with the philosophy around which they design the whole strategic plan. So philosophy is something that we studied in the first chapter. So you either have selling concept, you have marketing concept, you have societal concept. So based on that concept that the marketing provides, the rest of the strategic plan is designed. So that's the first way in which marketing gives you input, right? The second way marketing gives input to the strategic plan is through telling you which market is attractive, right? Now how does marketing do it? Because marketing department is continuously doing market research. So if it's doing continuous market research, then that means they know what is happening in the market, how market is changing, what are the current demands and how the demand is changing, right? So since they have the input, they give this data to the top management, and then based on that data, top management sets the scope for the organization, right? So the inputs for opportunities comes from the marketing department. Then SBU marketing strategies again are developed by marketing, right? Now talking about partner relationship management, one of the important concepts when it comes to building relationship. We talked about inside partners and then we talked about outside partners. Inside partners are your employees, outside partners are so partner relationship management is the process of working closely with partners in company's department to form an effective value chain that serves the customer as well as partnering effectively with other companies. So it talks about inside partners and outside partners. Now partnering within the company's department. So for instance, if I'm marketing department, then that does not mean that I would not be coordinating with finance, with HR, with other departments that are working in the organization. For a good value delivery, you need to ensure that you're coordinating well with the other departments. For instance, recently Hyperstar has been renamed. CAF4 is the new name for Hyperstar. How many of you have visited Hyperstar? Everyone, almost, right? So Hyperstar has been renamed as CAF4. Now, imagine a situation where CAF4 is not able to hire good human resource. Would they be able to deliver the value that they promise? No, they would not be able to deliver. Imagine another situation where the current promise of Hyperstar is that they deliver lowest prices. So for instance, they want to buy something from the market and the finance department does not release the funds. Would they be able to buy those products and put them on the shelves? No, they would not be able to. So for a superior value delivery, you need to ensure that all the departments are well coordinated. If they're not well coordinated, that means the value chain would be broken somewhere and you would not be able to deliver the value that you promised, right? So as it says, a company's value chain is as strong as its weakest link. What does that mean? What does that mean? It means if the weakest link somehow breaks down, the whole value chain would fall apart, right? Why would that fall apart? Because all the departments have to be well coordinated for a certain value delivery, right? Make sense? Now coming down to the second point, partnering with others in the marketing system. So the first element was about departments within the organization. The second element talks about your suppliers, your distributors. So companies that are associated with your company. So for instance, you're making a car, the example given in your book is that of Toyota. Now Toyota talks about satisfaction of their supplier in their mission statement. So that's the level that companies now are taking about partnering with the companies they work with. Now imagine a situation, you go to McDonald's and you don't get chips with your burger. Would you be offended? Yes, right? That's because you paid for that. Now you might not get chips because the delivery hasn't been there. Why hasn't there been a delivery to McDonald's? Because the supplier could not make it. So that means the value that that McDonald's promised you, it failed to deliver that value because the outside partner or the partner in the marketing system failed to deliver, right? So within with the value chain, you need to ensure that the network of the value chain also works properly. So value chain is within your organization and value delivery network or value is in coordination with other companies, right? Questions so far? Give a quick look to what we've done. We'll take questions. Right, no questions? So we just talked about value chain and value delivery network. Value chain is the departments that are working in delivering value within an organization. So your finance, your HR, your purchase department, your marketing department, these are all part of your value chain. And all the companies that work with the company in delivering the value, they formulate what? Value delivery network, right? So we studied two concepts, value chain and value delivery network. Now coming down to marketing strategy and marketing mix. Now what is marketing strategy? Marketing strategy is the marketing logic by which the business's unit hope to achieve the marketing objectives. So you set the objectives in your strategic plan, right? So you've set the objectives. Now how would you achieve those objectives? The objectives would be translated into marketing strategy, right? Now coming down here, if you can see here, this is managing marketing strategies and the marketing mix. Can everybody see this? Does it add up? I'll try to explain it. Now in the center right here, it talks about profitable customer relationships. How do you maintain profitable customer relationships? By giving them value, right? So giving them value would lead to satisfaction, right? So how do you design a customer-driven strategy that talks about customer value, which is at the core of the marketing strategy? You do this by identifying your segment that you can serve better, right? So how do you identify that segment? You identify the segment based on segmentation, right? So you do the market segmentation, you identify the segment, then you decide how would you serve that segment, right? So this is something we've done before. We're just repeating this one, right? So once you've decided what your value proposition would be, how would you position yourselves in the mind of the customer, then you would do the marketing you would do the marketing you would do the marketing control, right? So you would plan the marketing, you would plan the marketing, which is right here, then you would implement, then you would control, and then you would have marketing analysis, right? So this is how you're gonna execute your marketing strategy. Now coming down to the first step, which is designing customer-driven marketing strategy, which was right at the core, right? Giving customer superior value. What is the thing that stands out in a customer-driven marketing strategy? The customer is the center point around which everything would revolve. If the customer has to be the center point, then you need to identify the customer. How would you identify the customer? You need to answer who the customer would be, right? So who the customer would be, how would you identify that? You would identify that by market segmentation, right? So you would take a bigger market, you would create chunks in that market, right? So once you've created chunks in that market, then you identify, you've created market segments out of the process called market segmentation. Now you would study all those segments and identify which segment would you be better able to serve, and that would be your target market, right? So segmentation, how would you do segmentation? You can do segmentation based on demographics, based on lifestyle, based on age is demographic, right? Psychographic. So these are all different ways in which you can segment the market. Now each type of segmentation is not appropriate for every type of product, right? So for instance, give me an example where each type of segmentation is not relevant to a product.
For example, if I am if I want to promote scholarship, then I will go to universities, not every market. For example, if I need just students who are studying, I need to promote my scholarship there. Not in front of people who are working or kids or maybe
Okay. Any other?
Or maybe I can approach people who can afford my product.
Okay.
Selling non-halal items in Muslim market.
Okay, that could be. Okay. Or a good example given in your book is that of Disprene or any other drug. But take an example of Disprene here. Now, if I was a marketer, I was marketing Disprene and I was segmenting on the basis of, let's say, income. Would this be a good idea? No. Why not?
It's cheap.
Hmm?
Disprene is
Not
cheap.
everyone Because it might be a good idea according to the price per product. They're not all.
Now Disprene serves a particular purpose. It thins your blood, right? So it does not matter, price does not matter here. Why does price does not matter? So somebody who has a heart problem, whether he earns 20 lakh rupees a month or 20,000, both would consume the product, right? So if I segment on the basis of income for this particular product, it would not be worth it, right? So maybe some other method of segmentation would be appropriate for this particular product. It's not a price elastic product, if I should put it that way, right? So, increase and decrease in price would not affect the consumption of this product, right? It's an inelastic product. So if I segment the market on the basis of income, it would have no effect. It would be pure waste of time. Anybody disagrees on that? Nobody? Tell me. So need to see what type of segmentation works for you, right? So for instance, if I'm taking again an example of Disprene, I segment the market based on gender. Would this be appropriate? No, it would not be appropriate because it's not a gender specific product, right? So what companies do is they try to identify which segmentation is suitable for them, and sometimes they use the segmentation method as a marketing gimmick as well. How do they do it? For instance, Pampers. Now Pamper is not a it's not a gender specific product, right? You use disposable diapers for both the female child and for the male child, but nowadays they're marketing Pampers as with flowers, with Batman and all. Now the baby doesn't care if he's wearing a flower pamper or a Batman pamper, but they're trying to use that segmentation to exploit the customer. So it depends on marketers how they want to segment and how they want to capitalize on these things. But in general, if it's not a gender specific product, the good idea would be not to segment the market on gender. So you use appropriate type of segmentation according to which you can identify your target market.
Can we identify our targets according to their wants or needs? For example, there are specific customers who need our product. For example,
that's exactly what market segment is. Market segment is a group of customer who responds in a similar way to a particular marketing offer. So what you're actually defining, right? Make sense? Any question? Right, so what we were talking about? We're talking about marketing segmentation. Now, what you need to identify here, one important concept that you need to see here is that in marketing, when you do market segmentation, you're better able to identify your competitors as well, right? So let's take the example of handbags, right? So do you think Chanel and Stylo, they make the same product, right? Are they competitors? No, because they work in a different market segment. So your competitors are within your market segment. So for Chanel, the competitor would be Gucci, right? So for a $3,500 bag, who would compete? Somebody who produces $3,500 bag, right? कितने होते हैं $3,500? Calculate करो. 3.5 lakh. Yeah, how many of you can afford that? बड़े लोग लेते हैं. They make fortunes. Okay? If your pocket cannot afford it, it doesn't mean that the product won't sell. There's a new market. There's another market that they're trying to explore, right? Quiet. हुक्म सर, क्या मसला? ये लेता है? चलें जी हमें भी दिला दें चले जी अल्लाह मियाँ बरकत दे बरकत ही मांगे चले मांगे चल ओके चल right so where were we talking about market segments so it's quiet back to the lecture now what we're talking about market segments so we identify that identifying market segment not only helps you identify your customer but your competitors as well because your competition is within your market segment. Mehran can never compete with Lexus or Corolla. You know, it has its own competitor. So market segmentation helps identify customer, helps identify competitor. Coming down to market positioning. What is market positioning? You position your product in the minds of the customer. It is what? Arranging for a product to occupy a clear, distinctive, desirable place relative to competing products. So in the perceptual map that is there in customer's mind, where does your product stands? Or where would you want to place the product? So would you want to place the product somewhere near Chanel or somewhere near Stylo? Right? So this is what? This is positioning the product. Right? So maybe Michael Kors produces as good bags as Chanel, but they are not in the same segment. Why? Because according to the perceptual map, the highest end bag is Chanel, not Michael Kors. Right? Make sense? Now what's the difference between marketing? We talked about positioning, we talked about segmentation and everything. What's the difference between market positioning and differentiation? Can anybody tell? How do you differentiate between market positioning and differentiation?
Differentiation is sort of the uniqueness that is attached to a product, but the other thing that we were talking about is what market positioning is. That's merely the projection or installment of a product in certain segment or wherever the
Segment?
market decides. Yeah, like for Kareem to decide if they launch it in Faisalabad or remote areas, or would they, attach that urban element to their business cycle. So
Okay.
it's about the positioning, right? It's where you segment your product or where you put it.
Okay. Anybody else?
Maybe differentiation is how your product is different from as compared to your competitors. Maybe your value proposition.
Okay.
Differentiates your product.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else? Right. Now talk about how to differentiate between differentiation. Differentiation is what is different about your product, as he rightly pointed out. So what makes your product different from whatever is available in the market? That is differentiation. What makes your product stand out? Whether it's the quality, whether it's the cost, whether it's the design, whatever. Right? So that is differentiation. On the other hand, product positioning is sort of a step further. So based on your differentiation, what makes your product stand out, you would place the product in the perceptual map of the customer. So your differentiation would give input to your positioning, and positioning would be done in the perceptual map, right? So differentiation is all about creating uniqueness in your product, and that uniqueness would be communicated to the customer based on positioning, right? Anybody who does not understand the concept? You don't understand the concept, right? कहाँ पे problem आ रही है? Positioning नहीं समझ आ रही? Okay. Positioning is how do you see a particular product with respect to the competitors, right? So for instance, if let's say Nestle is existing giant, Allpers came in, how would Allpers adjust itself in the market कि वो Nestle से different लगे, ठीक है? So वो जो difference का element है, that is differentiation. But how would it see in relevance to the competitors, that is Nestle, that would be positioning. So differentiation is related to product. Positioning is related to competitor, right? So you would create difference in your product from differentiation strategy, right? So there's something that is very unique about Allpers. That's उनकी packaging बड़ी अच्छी है. चले, taste बहुत अच्छा है, right? So taste is their differentiating factor. How would you communicate that differentiating factor to the customer? Through positioning strategy. You position the product, right, relevant to the Nestle. So how would you position that? You would tell them that Allpers has a very superior taste than Nestle. That's how you positioned it, right? Based on that positioning, you would create the promotion that you just talked about. Make sense? समझ में आता है? So if you see here, we've done this bit. If I can point it out. This bit. We've done it, right? We've identified the target market. We have identified positioning. We have identified segmentation. We have gathered the information about differentiation, right? Now coming down to this element, the second tier. That is the marketing mix. Now what is marketing mix? We've done this, you would have done this gazillion times by now. Product, price, place, promotion. 4 P's, very right. So 4 P's include product, price, place, and promotion. So when we talk about never mix marketing mix with promotion mix, that's the mistake that students generally tend to make. They mix promotional mix with the marketing mix. So promotional mix is what? Advertising, personal selling, sales promotion, public relations. We're going to see this in detail in later chapters, right? So this is promotional mix, and marketing mix are the 4 P's. So talking about the product, what is included in product? The variety of products that you offer. How many products do you offer? What quality of products do you offer? What is the design of your product? Your brand name, your packaging, all these are features that fall under the product, right? Then comes down price. No, what is the list price? What are the discounts? What are the allowances? Do you offer credit or not? उधार पे चीजें देते हैं या नहीं देते? This is payment period. So this is all price. We're going to see this all in detail in later chapters, right? So we talked about promotion, advertising, personal selling, sales promotion, public relations, and then place. What are the channels that you use in delivering your product? What is the coverage? Do you go for intensive distribution? Do you go for exclusive distribution? So intensive distribution is done by FMCGs, fast moving consumer goods, the goods that are required on everyday basis, very affordable goods. For that you need intensive distribution. दूध का डब्बा यहाँ कैफेटेरिया पे भी मिलता है, तरावड़ी में भी मिलता है, बेया टाउन में भी मिलता है. That means it's going for intensive distribution. It is available everywhere, right? But on the other hand, we talked about Gucci, we talked about Chanel. These are exclusively distributed products. Then inventory, transportation. How would you want to transport your product? Would you want to use, let's say, pipelines, trucks, water, air? How would you transport your product? Depends on the product's nature. So for instance, if it's a very perishable product, that means it would go bad very easily. That means you want to transport it quicker to the market. So probably air transportation is a good idea. But if it's not very perishable, you can send it by truck. So depending upon the product you choose, how would you want to place the product? We've done promotion. Promotion is what? Now, coming down to 4 C's. Now we talked about 4 P's, that is a marketer's way of looking at what is there in the market. Yeah? How do you make profit? So the marketer's way of looking at marketing is through 4 P's. But do you really want to look at marketing like that, given the current scenario where you're talking about a customer-driven marketing strategy? No, you want to look at 4 C's at the same time as well, right? So you want to be in customers' shoes so that you can experience what customer would go through during interaction with your company, so as to better design your 4 P's, right? So talking about 4 C's, customer solution, which is the product, right? What would be customer's cost? So that does not necessarily mean the price of the product. It does include the price, but what was the search cost? How difficult was it to get the product, right? What is the disposal cost? Many a times you see, why do many people in Pakistan prefer Mehran over other cars? One reason is it's cheaper. The other reason is it is easy to resell. Yeah? आप सुबह लगाएं शाम तक बिक जाती है, ठीक है? मेहरान में एक ही क्वालिटी है कि वो बिक जाती है, right? और इसमें कोई क्वालिटी नहीं है. It's not a superior build. The इंजन को बहुत साउंड नहीं है, एक सस्ती है और एक बिक जाती है, ठीक है? There's no other quality in this particular product, and it sells like a hot cake, right? So when we talk about that, what is that? That is customer cost. It is easier to dispose the product. It is easier to resell the product. Therefore, customer buy the product. पैसे नहीं तोड़ती है. That's the common slang. ठीक है? जापानी गाड़ी ना लो, पैसे तोड़ती है. ठीक है? That is customers cost, spare parts, whatever. ठीक है? Convenience. How easy it is to acquire. How easy it is to get the product. How convenient it is. How affordable it is to get the product. Promotion. How do you communicate? Communication, again, advertising.
Ma'am, convenience doesn't fall in customer cost. Convenience doesn't fall in customer cost because it says the affordability factor, right? It's the price of the product.
Convenience is how readily it is available, right? So how readily it is available, that falls under placement. So to make a product readily available, it needs to be placed effectively. चलें जी. Managing the marketing effort. How do you manage the marketing effort? It requires analysis, it requires planning, it requires implementation, it requires control, right? So coming down to planning. Now before you plan, you need information from the environment, right? So I couldn't find the diagram that is there in your book, but if you see that diagram, there is marketing intermediary, there is public, there is what? Suppliers and competitors. So you need to scan all these in your environment to make sure that you design your planning effectively, right? So you need to see the outside environment. You need to assess the outside environment. Now outside environment can be assessed through a simple process, that is SWOT analysis. By understanding it's simple, but when you do in real-time settings, it's quite a complex procedure. Now talking about strengths. What is strength? Something that you're good at, something that you can do well, right? Something that makes you stand out. Something that makes you stronger at some point. Edge over competitors. So an internal factor, a company's factor that makes it stronger is strength. So maybe good human resource could be strength. Maybe good brand name could be strength. Good technology. Good place. Okay, ठीक है. Get it. Or anybody else?
Ma'am, sometimes what we do for our society, that we can also use that for as our strength.
Goodwill. Okay, goodwill. Okay, we'll take it. Or so talent. Management. Okay, all these fall under company strengths. They are internal factors. These are company's strong points. So they fall under strength. The weaker points or the points that company is not good at are weaknesses, right? So that could be your access to particular technology is not there, right? You don't have a very superior, let's say, human resource. You're new into the market. You have limited budget. You know, the finances are low. So this is all weakness, internal factor. Coming down to opportunities. Opportunities are something that come from outside. They're not companies. So opportunity could be government has reduced the taxes. Government is giving subsidy on electricity, right? There's new opportunity in, let's say, some other country that you can explore. A new giant that came in, it has gone out of business for some reason. These are all opportunities that one can exploit using their strengths. So strengths are internal, weaknesses are internal, opportunities are coming from the environment, external. Threat could be suicide bombing. Okay, we'll take it. Or competitors lower their price to a level that you cannot, right? So that's what we call predatory pricing. So competitors are doing predatory pricing. They're trying to put you out of business. So this could be threat, right? So you do SWOT analysis, and based on that SWOT analysis, you try to explore opportunities that you can capitalize on, and you try to overcome the weakness. And that's what you do in your marketing planning. Right? So marketing planning, formally defined as planning is the development of strategic and marketing plans to achieve companies' objectives. So आपने company के objectives बनाए हैं, the business objectives, and then you translate it into marketing objectives and then marketing strategy. And that's what we saw in the third lecture. Now coming down to marketing planning, when you do planning, you make a marketing plan out of it, and that's how a marketing plan looks like. We might be making a marketing plan for your final project. We'll think about it. So executive summary comes first, followed by current market situation. How would you assess the current market situation? SWOT analysis, right? So threats and opportunities. Then objectives and issues, action program, what would be the budget, control. So this is all what would come under marketing.
Market planning is different from business planning.
It specifically deals with marketing. Business planning would talk about finance. It would talk about HR. So it would be bigger in horizon, whereas this would only limit itself to marketing. Marketing implementation. So implementation is what? It is the process that turns marketing plans into marketing action. So जो आपने plans बनाए थे जब उनके लिए, when you perform those and you actually try to implement those, is implementation of the strategic marketing objectives. Now you may organize your marketing department based on function, based on geographics, based on product, based on market, or customer management. To exemplify, you may organize your marketing department, let's say, sales manager, advertising manager, promotions manager. Now this is based on the function that they're performing. So they're looking after sales, so sales manager. They're looking after advertising, so advertising manager. So based on whatever function they're performing, you would organize your department, right? So that is You're organizing your department on the basis of function. Then the second method could be geographic. How would you do that? Sales manager North, sales manager Punjab. That is geographic way of organizing your department. The third way could be product. So companies could also make product managers, right? Or account managers. So for instance, in advertising agencies, you have a manager that specifically deals with concepts, right? So he's account manager of concepts, right? So in advertising, each client is an account, to simply put, right? So if concepts is a client of, let's say, channel 7, that means channel 7's employee that would be responsible for dealing with concepts would be account manager of concepts, right? So this would be what? Through product, right? Then coming down to market or customer management. Now in many organizations they have corporate clients, they have regular clients. So in businesses, let's say in banks, you have special managers who specifically deal with corporate clients. So you have managers specifically dealing with a certain clientele, with a certain market. So if you're offering online products as well, so you have a special department that deals with online orders, right? So for instance, Khadi takes online orders, so they would have a separate department that would deal with their website orders, right? Or website. Now this is an explanation of that. Coming down to marketing, control. Now control is measuring, evaluating results and taking corrective action. So it necessarily is a 4-step process, right? So control is a 4-step process. The first step is you set the goal. You set the marketing objective, right? You set the strategy. Then what do? You measure what you have done, your performance with the goal that you have set for yourself. So your goal was that you had to sell 100 units this month. That was your goal. Did you actually sell or not? Let's say you sold 80 units. That means you measure that you sold 80 units. In the next step, what you do is you compare what you've done to your goal, right? So you compare that your goal was 100 units, you sold 80 units. Where did you go wrong? Right? So you evaluate the situation. Maybe you need to hire more salespersons, right? So your sales force was less, that's why you were not able to achieve the set goal. So the corrective action would be to hire more salespeople, right? So this is how you control. Now talking about control, there's operating control and then there is strategic control. Now operating control talks about your annual plan or operational plan. Operational plans are the plans that are designed for a year or so, right? So all the plans are designed for a year or so, they are operating plans. Now what do you do with operating plan control? In operating control, you compare your current performance with your annual plans, you see where things are going wrong, right? If things are not going wrong, you continue with whatever pace that you're working in. If there is, you take the corrective action. Then comes the strategic control. What is strategic control? Now, we talked about the environment changing continuously, right? So let's say you've made a strategy, and we talked about strategic plan for being there for 3 to 5 years, right? So a strategic plan is for a longer period of time. Let's say the environment has changed, right? Now the environment has changed, so the company needs to change with the environment. So strategic control would ensure that the company stays relevant with the changing environment. So your strategic plan is relevant to whatever is happening in the market, right? So you're trying to find the fit. You're trying to find the fit between the opportunities that are there and the strategy or how company can explore those opportunities, right? So to make your strategic plan stay relevant, You do strategic control. Any questions? Then there's a term called marketing audit. What is audit? What is audit?
Check and balance.
Check and balance. So simply put, check and balance. So marketing audit is you have an independent body come in and check if all your marketing efforts are being done in the right way or not. So it is a comprehensive, systematic, independent and periodic examination of a company's environment and objectives, strategies and activities. So you carry out the marketing audits to ensure that you are on the right track. Now coming down to measuring and managing return on marketing investment, or ROI, return on investment. Now marketing consumes a lot of money. To place an advertisement on the television, it costs a lot of money. Now how do marketing people justify themselves, or how do marketers justify that whatever effort that we're putting in, it's generating some result? Now one way is that the purchase is increasing. That is one way of justifying, right? The number of people buying your products is increasing. But is this enough? No, it's not enough, right? So how do you quantify sort of the marketing effort? Now for finance people, it is very easy to tell how much cash was in, how much cash was out. So simple 4 financial statements and you're there. You can justify yourself. For HR people, they can justify themselves. But how do marketers justify their marketing effort? They need to justify through marketing return on investment, which is extremely tricky to calculate. So how do you hold marketers accountable? That is the question that we are trying to answer here. Now, quantifying marketing efforts is extremely difficult, but there are certain measures that you can use to hold marketers accountable. The first measure is how much customer did you acquire, how much new customers came in, how much older customer were you able to retain, and what is customer lifetime value. And then you calculate these, and at the end of the day you calculate the customer equity, and then you try to justify your marketing effort, right? So what is customer lifetime value? Or CLV? CLV is the total value that a customer would give over his lifetime. So you calculate it. There's a formula for that, the average order value 1 minus repeat value, and then you minus the acquisition cost of the customer. We'll not go into the detail of that. That is out of scope for now, but there's a proper formula for calculating CLV. You calculate all the CLVs, you add them up, and then what do you calculate? Customer equity, right? We have a class with it. Return on marketing, right? So we on the same topic, how do you calculate return on marketing? Here you can see, as a result of your marketing effort, the customer value and the customer satisfaction would increase, right? So as a result of customer value increasing, there would be increased customer attraction, right? So your value equity would increase, and so would be your retention equity with increase in satisfaction. So the more your customers are satisfied, that means they would come again for a second purchase, for a third purchase, and later on so forth, right? So the more satisfied the customer, the better you are able to retain those customers, right? So it would lead to increased customer retention, and these would contribute to customer equity, and customer equity is through which you could justify your marketing efforts. Clear? With this, we've come to the end of chapter 2 and the end of lecture number 4.